We are going to take our beading needle, single threaded, make sure that tail is cut nice and short, and come in between that beading foundation and the backing. Make sure to tuck that little tail in there. Then we're going to pick up 3 beads for the first, pulling those 3 beads to the end of the thread and putting your needle in through both pieces of material about a bead's width away. Pulling that beading thread all the way through and taking that beading needle up through that black bead and picking up another 2 beads. In this case it's pink and then black, spacing them out that bead's width away, going through both pieces of material. Pulling that beading needle all the way through and putting that beading thread back up through that black bead, continuing that pattern, 1 pink bead, 1 black bead. And this is where I add that wire guard. I go up on one side of that wire guard with that beading needle, and pulling the wire guard down to the project. And putting that needle back down on the other side, pulling that thread all the way through so it sits on the wire guard. I pick up 1 more black bead and I go through both pieces of material again right at the base of that wire guard, and then back up through just that black bead. Pulling that thread all the way through and then continuing that pattern of 1 pink bead, 1 black bead. Once I get closer to the end, I'm mindful of my spaces so I can have the correct amount of beads in the spots, but continuing that pattern. Until there's only space for 1 more bead, and we'll pick up a pink bead. And I just pick a fat bead here, if I can, to fill in that space a little bit better. And I'm going to come in down through that first black bead that I put down and kind of flip my needle around, not going through the material yet, just that first black bead. Pulling the needle to the back. Pulling that thread nice and tight. Then I take that beading needle and I go through both pieces of material right underneath that very first black bead I put down. Instead of tying a knot, I like to put my beading needle in between the beading foundation and the backing, pulling that needle and thread through a few times. And then when I'm done, I pull the beading thread really nice and tight, and I cut as close as I can to that beading foundation so it pulls that thread back in, creating a knotless tie.